This, of course, may lead you to think, okay, well then, rather than construct our schools around self-control, resilience, and self-reflection, we should construct our schools around better parenting skills, okay? Which means that, hey, let's construct schools where kids are exposed to a lot of vocabulary, where teachers are friendly, and where there's a lot of stability, okay? And we've tried this, and it's more effective, but it doesn't really work either. Why? Because the kids come in too late. A lot of their worldview is already established. Then you're like, okay, well then let's change how parents behave. And when you do that, what you recognize is that, nope, you can't change how they behave either. Okay? So no matter what you do, you end up with massive differences between the poor and the rich. The rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. Okay, so now the question for us is, why is this the case? Okay? And it's the case because society is a hierarchy. Okay, and the hierarchy is usually divided between the rich and the poor. Okay? And these two worlds are night and day. They're very, very different. As a poor person, if you want to survive, you have to obey authority. Okay? But if you're a rich person, the way that you get along with others, the way that you maximize your outcome is by negotiating with others. Okay? Negotiating. Okay? So negotiating can also mean debate, right? So who should be the boss? Well, let's have a debate and present different evidence as to figure out who should be the boss. Okay? So negotiation means debate and argument. So this helps us understand why different parents parent their child differently. If you're a poor parent, your responsibility is to make sure that your child knows how to obey authority. Okay? That's why you command your child. But if you are a rich parent, you want your child to be able to negotiate with authority, and that's why you respect your child and you teach your child how to debate, how to argue, how to negotiate with others. Okay? Because they live in different worlds. Another way of saying this is that from day one, rich kids know that they're playing a different game from poor kids. Okay? So let's go back and look at parents. Okay? So poor parents command their child, don't really speak, don't communicate, and don't keep promises, okay? All right, so poor parents do these three things. And we know that if they do these three things, the outcome won't be so good, okay? And the reason why they do this is that they're not playing a game to improve their kids' outcome. They're playing a game to get along with other parents, okay? Okay, colleagues, family, okay, authority. Okay, so another way of saying this is this: police, boss, okay, family, okay? All right, so as a parent, you're trying to figure out how to negotiate with the police, with your boss, and with your family. So if you're a poor person and the police knows you're a poor person, the police is going to bully you. And if you fight back, the police will probably put you in jail. Okay? So it's very important that you accept authority, you don't challenge authority, because if you do, you're probably getting into trouble. Your boss, right? If you're a poor person, your boss will just command you about. And so it's very important that your child knows how to take orders. Rather than ask questions, rather than debate, your child must learn how to just follow orders, or at least keep his mouth shut, okay? And then family is about maintaining good relations with those who can most support you. And that often means the same values. Okay? So if your family members or your friends, if they are parenting their child in this manner, you're also going to copy them, okay? Imitation. All right? And for a poor person, this is the optimal strategy of how to parent. Okay? Does it make sense, guys? Because if you do it another way, okay? If you choose to be a friend to your child, if you choose to communicate, if you choose to keep your promises, then your friends and your family will think that you're doing something wrong. You understand? They won't think, oh my God, you are an enlightened parent who's read a lot of parenting books and great for you. They're going to think there's something wrong with you. Okay? So let me give you an example of this. So, my wife and I have 3 kids, okay? My parenting style. So my wife and I have 3 kids. And this is how we parent our kid, okay? First of all, we give our child a lot of freedom. So we don't have our kids do activities, okay? We don't have our kids do lots of activities. We don't send our kids to math class. We don't send our kids to swimming class. We don't send our kids to piano class, okay? We just let our kids run around and play. The other thing that we do is we communicate a lot with our child. Okay? Communication. We believe in democracy in our family. If we're going to make a decision together, we want everyone to communicate together. Okay? A normal Chinese family will just have a very tight schedule, right? And the other thing that we do that's different is we tell stories. The other Chinese families will do math, okay? So we raise our children in a way that's very different from normal Chinese families, from the way that you've been raised, okay? And we do this because both my wife and I, we spend a lot of time talking about parenting. I've read a lot of books about parenting. I've spent many decades researching the best education possible. And so that's why we raise our children in this way. And guess what? Because we do this, we have no friends in China. We have family, but they all think we're crazy. Okay? But we do this because for us, what's most important is to make sure that our children are happy and healthy, and that they have a chance to be creative and be successful in life. Because I think that if you do it this way, the child will not be creative, will not be successful. But if you do it this way, your child will fit into China better. Okay? So, parenting, the goal, the incentive is not for your child to succeed. The incentive is for your child to fit into China or the larger social environment that you are in. Okay? And that's why it's very hard to change the way people behave. And that's why social structures are extremely rigid, because the game they're playing is often just to fit into their environment. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Okay, any questions?